Grace Nisima, a development consultant with HRP Solutions. I'll not go over the history. I'll just quickly go over the self-service portal because Alan has mentioned almost everything that gives us an introduction to the call and the purpose of this call. So we have implemented what we call a self-service portal that communicates with Business Central, which is an upgraded version of what you've been using, Navision, and everything that you do on the portal will reflect on Business Central. So as much as most of the researchers will not be interacting with Business Central directly, all the information will be in sync, and whatever is done on the Business Central side, such as approvals, some of the approvals, you'll be able to see it on your portal. You'll be able to track your requests. You'll be able to go ahead and track your leave, how far it has gone, and in terms of approval, and also your timesheets. So I'm going to share my screen and quickly dive into what we'll call the self-service portal without taking much of your time. Okay, I'm currently sharing my screen. Kindly let me know if you can see it.
Yeah, yes, we can see it.
Okay, so I will be provided a link, and this will be our first access page. So we'll have all of you created as users on this portal using your either your company emails or an email that is used for communication. So, and once you receive, once you receive the link on your first interaction with the portal, the first thing you do is sign up. You put your email address that has been registered, and then you receive a link to create a password that you then use moving forward. And then once every time now you come to log on to the portal, you don't need to sign up. However, you come and sign in, you put in your email address and password. Key thing to note here is that the email address that we have must be something that must be mapped to your employee card. So that must be a valid email address. So I'll quickly sign in and we go over the what we call the dashboard. So after signing in, this will be the first page that you view. We have some actions here where we have the home approvals for any of us that will be doing any approval sections. Then under human resource, we'll be having the biodata, timesheets, and leave management, and any other functionalities of HR that will be required here. Then we have the purchase requests, payments, travel, and stores request. Currently, this stores request is looking at inventory requisitions. Then we have these are now like the quick actions based on the person who has logged in. How many approvals do you have? Your leave requests that you've put in so far. Then we have stores requests that are pending, your travel requests, payment requisitions, and purchase requisitions. Then we also we'll be having a summary of your leave entitlement and the balance. And we'll be able to pick some of your reports related to payroll, your pay slip, if you want to see your benefit for NSSF, pay as you earn, and then have a leave utilization report. So this is the first page that you'll be seeing once you log onto the portal. And we've made it as simple as possible so that you can have everything just at the front, even without going into the list. If you want to do a purchase request, you just click here. Now, I know we've been doing our requests either with an email or a form that you submit to the procurement team. And we've tried to make this as simple as possible to reflect what you have, what you've been using currently. So I will start with for this session today, we shall go over the purchase, payment, and travel. But before I proceed, I hope we are okay up to this level.
I think we're
Okay,
good.
all right. So we'll click on purchases. So the purchases are going to be filtered strictly to what you see, what you requested. They will be filtered to your requests. You're not supposed to see any other person's requests, just yours. So in case I want to make, this list has things that have not been converted, what we the term we use as conversion, or things that have not been picked up by procurement. So everything here is what is still at your desk as an initiator before it moves on to the procurement phase. As you can see, we have the request number that is automatically generated by the system, then the requester, project code, since most of our requests are based on project. Then we have the purpose and the request phase. So the request phase just shows you where your request is. It's either at grants, where in this case the grants team is doing what they're supposed to do, checking your budgets, approving your request. Then we have also now procurement that then comes and picks up your request. And once that procurement team picks it up, it will move from here and go to another. Now it will be handled on the Business Central side. So for us to create a new request, I'll click on add purchase requisition. So it will open for us this window where we have two sections of the document. We have the header section that just has a brief information about the request. The requester number and requester name automatically come from the login. We don't have to capture these. Then we have the project code. And then we have the location code. Where do you want this item to be delivered? And then we have the purpose. Purpose is sort of like a brief description of your request. And then we have the line section where you can put as many details as you want on relating to your request. So here I will pick a project that we can use. Then location, say I want this to be delivered the campus stores. What is the purpose? Could be request putting in a procurement request of a laptop, a laptop purchase, and putting in a procurement request of some items that you will need for your research purposes. It could be some stationery or any other items that you need. So for the purpose, I'll put a summary of what I will need in the lines. So for now, I will put, just say stationery for January. So, and here I'll come and start adding in my lines. As part of the stationery, I could need books, pens, highlighters, reams of paper, sorry. And so I will come and put, I want books. How many do I want? Say 20. And then the unit of measure is also a drop down. You can put whether you want pieces or you want boxes. So, and then click insert. So what this actually does, it creates for you now this on Business Central without you having to log on to Business Central and have it captured there. So I can come and add more lines. So you can tell we have a drop down, but you can type and it narrows down for you what you have, what you've put as your first letters. Can add as many lines as I want, and then after that I'll have to send this for approval. So now sending this for approval sends it to the next phase. But as an initiator of this purchase request, this is all that you capture. You don't need to mind about any other things. They'll be handled by the different users who have the roles to do those other things like budget checks and all the rest. So this is just a purchase request. I will send it for approval. So the action of sending approval notifies the team that is on the next phase, say the grants team. And now on your side, you are not in position to make any changes in this request. So if you want to have it cancelled, you can cancel it, and then also the team will be notified that the request that just came through has been cancelled. This is for us not to just receive requests and then wonder what happened to that request. So this is pretty much it about the purchase requests or purchase requisitions. And as you can see now, our phase has been updated to pending grants. So which means now this has moved on to the next level and you're able to track it from here. So the requests, as you capture them, the latest request comes at the top. However, you can always track this based on the purpose, the phase, and you can always see the details. So our next would be the payments, but before I get to that, any questions?
Thanks, Chris. Do we have any questions from the team about purchase requests? Yes, Bishop.
Alan, good morning. Good morning and happy new year, everyone. So at what stage does the budget holder come in? Because sorry, I came late. Probably this one maybe already been explained, but currently you probably discuss with the holders or something, or the budget holder has to approve somewhere, but here has gone straight to the grant. How does the budget holder come in here to maybe approve the purchase or the procurement? Or that should be have been done on electronically first before going to this the platform. Thank you.
Okay. So the budget holder comes in at a later stage. For this, we go to grants first so that we're able to have the budget attached to it. So based on that, now we have another document where the request is converted. The request is converted to a different document, and that second document goes to the budget holder first before they can proceed with the procurement. So there is another phase. This is just the initiation part. There's another phase for the budget holders where they can access and do the approvals.
Thank you. Bishop, does that answer your question?
Alan, yes, yeah. I think it's in this case probably reverse. Okay, it used to be, I think the last thing is the grant to confirm that there's availability of fund, then they go. So I think maybe this is a better way now. That the admin now is what? Yeah. So I think it's okay. It's okay.
All right. Any other questions from the team?
Morning, Alan.
Good morning, Catherine.
I'm wondering, in case sorry, I joined late. In case the funds are not available, and the grants team rejects the request, does it come back to the person who has requested? Over.
Yes, please. It comes back to the person that has requested. And they'll probably either receive an email notification with a comment as to why their request was rejected. And here now the request phase is set to blank, just to notify that it has come back to its initial stage.
Thanks, Grace.
Just an addition to that question, does that now mean we can directly edit that request without restarting another one?
Yes, you can make the changes to
Like
the
maybe change
request.
of project so that it can go through. That is after the initial.
Yes, please. As long as this is not either the request phases, you can make changes, change the location, and you click the update requisition. You can make your changes as long as the phase is blank. You don't need to create a new one when it has come back to you.
Okay.
Okay, can proceed now to payments. So the payments are also the same as the purchase request. The segregation of purchase, payments, travel is because these are handled by different people. Payments and travel could be handled by the administration team, and then the purchase is handled by the procurement team. And that is why here we see that on the status stroke phase, we have administration instead of now here where we had pending procurement action. So on payments, it's also almost the same. We have the request number, the project, the person who is raising the request, the total amounts here. This is for the payment, it comes from the lines. Then we have the purpose and the phase. So if I'm to create a new request, I'll see almost the same window like for the purchase. The only difference here is now we need to capture the amount that the amount to be paid out. So I will select a project, and then the purpose, which is defining what my payment is about. So for testing purposes, I'll say utility payments for December. And then I have now here a currency code. This payment can be in either USD or in the base currency. If it is in the base currency, you don't need to select a currency code. And by base currency, I mean the Ugandan shillings. But in case I need to have a different currency for this payment, I can select, say, the USD. And then I come and input my length. So this could be water bill quantity. I can put 1, and the rate can put that amount. So this also now goes ahead and creates for us a payment request, and I can capture another line, say electricity. Then have the estimated unit price, and then the quantity. So the lines keep on accumulating as you capture them. And also this now, the next phase will just be sending it for approval. So maybe just talk about the budget check phase. So this level, we have not yet done the budget checks. So the budget checks have been embedded on the system, and as the different users proceed with their actions, there is a phase where they will reach and there will be a budget check that will be performed. So for this, where we have payments, as grants is capturing the budget to be used and the budget line, we shall have a budget check performed. Procurement, now for the purchase requests, the budget check is performed when the procurement team puts in an estimated cost. So the budget checks are being handled by the system, as well as grants just gets into double check what is being done by the system. So once this payment is done, I can go ahead and send it for approval. And then same thing, that the emails are sent and the grants team will come in, put in the budget, and then proceed to the next phase, which is administration, and the finance team proceeds with the next processes related to the payment. So that is pretty much what we have for the payment. As you can see, we made these documents pretty simple for the end users. Any questions regarding the payment?
Yeah, hello, Grace. I have a question actually, and it still even relates to the previous request that you are sharing. So this notification to the grants team, does it go to the grants general email, because different grants people manage different projects? So where does the notification go? Over.
Okay. So we have marked different users to be part of the grants team. So whoever has that check of being part of the grant or procurement team, they're the ones that receive that notification. So if it is one person that has been marked on the user setup, that will be the only person who will receive. If we have 3 people, all the 3 will receive. Is that okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. You have some questions in the chat. At what stage do we upload invoices or receipts? And then how do we place requests for cash for field activities?
Okay. Uploading invoices or receipts. If we need to have that handled as attachments, we can provision for an action for uploading the attachments. But if they are to be as part of the request, now that is going to be handled on Business Central, where we attach a payment to one invoice. I think the finance team is part of this call. During that sessions that we had, we saw how we can apply an invoice to a payment, and that is where it will be done from that same window, but not here. Here, what we can provision for is adding supporting documents to the request. That was then the second one. Sorry, Alan, do you mind repeating the second question?
Yeah, how do we place requests for cash for field activities? So Martin requests for 5 million to give to participants. He's wondering, how do I do that in this interface?
We can use the same interface. We just raise a payment request and put the details of the request using the same window. So this payment caters for either the field activities. This request caters for either supplier payments or direct expenses. So what matters is you need to explain in your purpose what that request is about.
Thank you, Martin. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, somehow, although in the previous we've been required to give a breakdown of how the cash is intended to be to use for the different activities. So can those be broken down into these discrete items that are putting in these lower lines?
Yes, please. The details, you can put them on you can put any lines that you want, the details on how the money is going to be used.
Oh, would it also be good to include where we could just attach a document that has the entire breakdown?
That is also fine. We are going to add an action for attachments. So you can either put the detail and put the multiple lines and split the money on how you're going to spend it, or you can put one lumped up figure and you put an attachment.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, any more questions? So we can proceed to the
Team, feel free to ask or type in the chat. I see no hands up. No one is unmuting. Okay. I guess we can proceed. Grace, we can proceed. Did we lose you? Oh, Grace dropped off. Let's give her a minute.
hello. Sorry about that.
Okay, Grace, you're welcome. We have a few questions in the chat. Jimmy has a question. Does it show, I'm not sure which one, payment requests or purchase, but maybe payment. Does it show the date of action item so that the requester can track, e.g. from the date of request to date of grants approval to date of payment? I think that's a payment request. Are they able to track in their interface? Are they able to see that my request has moved from this stage to the other stage.
Yes, we're able to track that, although we hadn't exposed the dates relating to when someone has approved, but in the background, they are there. We track when someone approves the request and when procurement takes action or administration takes action on the request.
Could you please go to that column? There's a column you had showed, I think a column you had displayed for payment requests. At what stage? Jimmy, we have this status: pending grants, pending administration. This could be, you don't want to have also many columns. I'm not sure if this is something that answers your question, this column status. And then you could just type in the chat. And then Brian says, my suggestion is under the section of currency, you could put UGX and you leave that as the default currency, and someone can change if a need arises, or leave it blank if it's UGX, which I think is the default for Business Central. But Grace, you could respond to that.
Okay, for UGX, by default, it is blank, and then you can select any other currency code. Yeah, like Alan has said, by default, the base currency is represented as a blank. And that is what we tried to replicate here as well. So we just leave it blank for UGX.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Frank, as a question is how...
Sorry, Alan.
Yes, Brian.
Yeah, Grace, what I was saying is that instead of the currency code blank, if it's the best currency, which is UGX, we could have UGX like as a default. So here where there is select, you could have UGX, faintly, and then you have a drop that someone can easily select other currencies if they need to, because I'm imagining for someone who hasn't attended this training, they will reach here and they look for where to select the UGX option and won't find it. So I think it would be best if it's there as the default. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I've taken note of that.
Okay, thanks, Brian. Frank has a question is, how will the system address delays in approvals at different levels? I don't know if I can respond to this. Frank, while we have a system, it doesn't take away human interaction. We'll still interact through email, phone calls. So this is just to facilitate. I don't think the system will do that. However, the system will send notifications to particular individuals. As Grace has said, if you need this urgently and someone maybe has a lot on their schedule, you could drop them an email or call them. I hope that helps, Frank. And then Jerry says, will we be able to view a PDF version of the PRF at any point?
Okay, that is something we hadn't catered to right now, but yeah, we can have that worked on so that you're able to download the version of the request.
Okay. Thanks, Jerry.
PDF version.
Yeah. Thank you, Jerry. Jimmy, the challenge we have are delays at different stages, and everyone says they acted the right time, and therefore no one takes the responsibility for delays in purchase or payment requests. So we need to have a system to track action stages. I think the system does. We need to continue interacting with the people who are approving. I don't think the system will address this. I still think we need to email, call, and talk to the people approving if we need to. I don't expect the system to do this automatically. No, I wouldn't expect that. Okay, Brian says, does the system prioritize requests for the approvers? I'm not sure whether I understand this. Brian, you could unmute. I'm not sure whether I get this.
Yeah, thanks, Alan. I guess my question is sometimes say the budget holders might be having a ton of requests, and sometimes they could be engaged with maybe an activity. So I was wondering whether the system is able to, for example, flag some requests as urgent based on how fast they are needed or how long it has taken before the approval. So that's basically my question. I'm not sure if the system has that capability. Thanks.
Okay, Grace, do you want to respond to that? They want a tag, priorities, urgent, I know we have expected date of delivery, or I don't know.
Okay, right now it's not something that we had catered to in terms of the urgency, but we can think through and get back to you.
Thank you, Frank. Frank
But
says,
just wondering, Alan, also, who determines the urgency? Because everyone who puts in a request, as far as I know, is urgent. So I don't know whether we would want to go that route, where I determine that this request is urgent. I think everyone should really plan accordingly, and like you said, we're not taking away the human face. If something is urgent, somebody should feel free to reach out to the budget holder or whoever is approving, put in this request, it's urgent. Can you look out for it? Otherwise, we're going to have so many urgent requests in the system, in my opinion. Yeah, over.
Yeah, thank you, Catherine. I think last year the procurement team communicated while we are sharing with you the system. The procurement team will reach out to you on drawing procurement plans. Every project or every person, I know scenarios where someone says, I need this now. And they want everyone to, run around. So the procurement team will arrange sessions where they would take us through how to design procurement plans, and those will feed into, of course, the budgets. It's a whole line of activities. It's just that right now we are showing you how you will use the system, but there's so many processes we'll have to go through before we even reach this. So if for 2024, you could plan ahead and have your procurement plan so that you do not have urgent requests. And then when they're not addressed, you're a bit frustrated. But like Catherine said, let's keep interacting with people while we plan to procure or we have payment requests. Let me see, Frank, this interface seems to be showing department. Pending action, not a specific person. Yeah. Do you want to respond to that, Grace?
Okay. For these requests, we indicate the department that is pending action. But I'd mentioned, after this request has gone through the first phase, we have another section or another document, and now that maps the actual approver name, the actual approver of that, now the final requisition, that will then be converted into an order and all that. Now that other document is the one that indicates who who is in charge, who should approve this. But for this, it goes to the department, and anyone available in the department takes action. However, whoever takes action, user IDs mapped onto the request, so that you're able to know, as much as it went to procurement, who in procurement looked at the request. And from there, then we can have the different approvers tied to the final requisition document.
Right, thanks, Grace. Michael says for the delays, can the system resend the notification maybe in 2 or 3 days if it stays at one level? I think there's already a provision for this, but I'll let Grace respond.
That is true. We are looking into that. After a certain number of days, we can have reminders sent, but we didn't want to also crowd your email addresses. So now it gets down to personal level to take action. But yes, we are looking into provisioning for reminders as well.
Also, just to add, even in the approval stages, the system is set in a way that if someone does not approve after a certain number of days, the system will send that request to the delegate, but that is in the back end. But the provisions are already there to do that. Yes, Rollins, I see your hand is up.
Thank you, Alan. Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Grace, for the presentation. My question is to do with the unit of measure. Okay, from the previous interactions, yes, it's a good field. However, I'm seeing it, for example, I'm buying books and then it's giving me all the available units of measure from Business Central, I'm thinking. But remember, there is that link between the unit of measure that Joshua has given to our items. For example, books, we have dozens and pieces. So in case me as a user, I make an error and pick, I don't know, a carton. Outrageously, I pick a carton and I'm able to proceed. Won't it cause any issues? Or is there a way that Grace can limit that drop down to only the units of measure relating to that particular item? Over.
Okay. For this request, we've not yet tied the request to an actual item. So the units of measure will be able to see all of them. However, the point of tying this request to an actual item, we can either map this to the item unit of measure instead of to avoid that confusion in as we're receiving the items. So we can have it at the point of tying the request to an item, we can have that mapped, because here at this level, we've not yet done any mapping to the item, but we're just putting in a request. It's more or less of like free text.
Okay, thank you, Grace. It then means that procurement will have an extra responsibility of now updating or making sure that they have picked the right unit of measure, right?
Yes, yes. Well, we have that at procurement.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Rollins and Grace. But I think we could also sieve out the unit of measures so that it's easier for the procurement team. But something we can discuss off the call, maybe. Someone is saying, shall we share the recording? Yes, we'll share the recording. This is our first session of the self-service portal. We have a YouTube channel for IT Help Desk. We'll continue, and most of these will actually be on that channel that you'll access in case you want a quick tutorial. You might not be able to pick everyone's call, so you would be able to visit and watch a maybe 2-minute video, 3, depending on, then you can do something. And then Paddy is saying, does this system remind the person in the next phase about his or her action of approving this request quickly so that it continues to the next level of approval, so that we avoid this business of, sorry, I had missed it. I think the tech team really has work for AI. People are a bit frustrated and they want systems to address delays. Paddy will continue interacting with our approvers and will fine-tune the system to notify them timely so that they quickly approve. I saw Joshua's hand up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Just wanted to, I would just clarity from Grace. For example, the stores bit where we going to be receiving requests from end users. Of course, from experiences, there's going to be like errors, and some will be minor. These minor errors, is it possible for the stores personnel to, do some little bit of quality rather than rejecting the whole thing and has to go back and be redone? Like there are errors that are really minor, like what raised, unit of measure, why someone is requesting for just one pack because that's what is in stores, but someone by error requests for a carton. I was wondering whether those minor errors can be straightened rather than rejecting the whole request. Thank you.
Yes, we can provision for that you can make some changes apart from maybe the quantity. If you want to make changes to the quantity, that is when you probably reject it. But we can discuss and see which fields should be open for edit for the stores people.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Joshua. Do we have any questions? Feel free to type in the chat or raise your hand. Okay, I see no hand raised. Yes, Grace, you can proceed. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to go over the travel, but we'll just highlight because this is pretty much similar to the payment, and the only difference is we need a start date and end date, like the period of travel. So same here, we put a project, the purpose, start date and end date, and then we also have the lines. Sorry. So the start date here, we have it in a calendar format, and you can select a period of the travel. Then in the lines, yeah, you can capture the description, number of nights, and the rate. And then I can also go ahead and capture as many lines as I want and then send the approval. So if you look at the purchase, payment, and travel, you realize that the layout is similar, except for some fields that are, some fields that are needed at the purchase and are not needed at the payment, or some fields that we have in the lines for the payment and travel, but we don't have on the purchase side. So the purchase, payment, and travel are pretty much similar in terms of the information needs to be captured. The next would be the travel request, and this clearly looks at the items that need to be issued out or items that you require from stores.
Just a minute before we move. Could we go back a bit to the travel request? Yeah, so I'm not sure if Peggy is on the call. Yeah, Peggy is on the call. So our requests sometimes are in dollars. You can scroll down. I saw in the lines you added. Yeah, apart from SDA, which is in UGX, that's fine. 5 days, $40. How would I capture that? Per day, $40 per day for 5. How do I capture that in the lines here?
Okay, we're going to put a currency code in the header to cater to that to begin with. And then here, we can, this is the number of nights or days. We can decide whether to just put a quantity field and then you put, say, per day. So then the amount will be definitely multiplication of the quantity and the price. So instead of having center of nights, we can say quantity and rate, something like that.
Yeah, all right. Peggy, I don't know if I've left out anything. Diana, and someone, Isaac Odell is saying after entering the end and start date, I expect the number of nights to be automatic. There should be a check.
Okay, that is okay. However, we may have other lines that probably one line that has a long-term figure where you're not going to segregate like okay, like accommodation, you can segregate that, but you can have like something else that you need to capture on this request that doesn't rely on the number of nights. How would we handle that?
I see Jackie's hand up. Yes, Jackie.
Thank you so much, Alan, and good morning, team. I wanted to find out if the system can not allow, because for example, travel, you find that someone traveled in December and they didn't their request. We are in January, that's when we receive the request. Is there a way we can have, like for example, you should be putting in requests going forward, not backwards. Is there something like that? I submit.
Okay, that can be provisioned for, but is it that now we want to have scenarios where we need to update? I think we'd also need to have that in mind, because I believe, yes, moving forward, that would work perfectly if the system is being used real time. But I don't know if we have scenarios where we need to backdate.
Thank you. I hope, Jackie, that answers your question. Do we?
Maybe Peggy can say something on that. Ideally, if someone is going to travel, you're supposed to place in your request before you travel. That's the policy. But I know it has not followed. So I don't know whether the system can help us, because I'm assuming that the person who is going to travel is aware of their travel dates. So they should place in their.
Thank you, Jackie. I don't have an answer to your question, because you've said what the policy is supposed to be, but most of the time we don't have control over the travelers. So I don't know if the system can make it in such a way that people put in their request before they travel. Otherwise, on our side, we process, but we can't control if people are backdating, if they put their requests after they return or something like that. Over.
Okay, this is something that can be done in that the start and end date and don't allow any date for that. However, back to the end user, I don't know, is this a control that we need to enforce? And what impact does it have on the end user and their activities?
Thank you, Grace. I think we'll discuss internally. Some of these are internal.
Grace, I'm not an end user, so I think the users will answer, but generally sometimes there will be cases where people have those emergency travels and then, like there's been a meeting, an MOH meeting, and then people suddenly have to travel to those faraway places and it's happening tomorrow or, in the moment. So I don't think, I personally don't think that that's a measure I want to put in place. I want to think that as far as the travel dates are correct, accurate, we should be able to process requests. I don't know about limiting the dates to choosing dates that are ahead or behind. I don't know about that, but I know that sometimes there's emergency travels and sometimes the end users haven't planned well. Sometimes it's really, truly emergency. So I don't know about taking such a radical measure, but that's my 2 cents. I don't represent the users. I'm just speaking how I see it and how travel works at IDRC. Over.
Thanks, Peggy. I think I agree. Once the travel dates are correct, we probably just need to process the payment, and we don't have to be too stringent. It becomes hard a bit sometimes to undo some of those controls, but we'll discuss really internally if need arises to have such controls in place. Paddy, your hand was up. Okay. Yoweri, your hand is up. Do you have a question?
Yeah, thank you. The question is almost close to what Peggy said. My concern is on the request, when you send a request and then approvals delayed and the travel days comes in before the payments, how will that be handled? And there will be maybe need to backdate or some emergency. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Yoweri, for your submission. Let me see. Martin says, if I paid an abstract submission using my cash and I want to claim back the money afterwards, limiting the request to dates ahead would be problematic. Yeah, that's true. Right now it's open, and we'll discuss the controls internally and we'll engage the service provider if need arises. Do we have any other questions in this regard? Okay, I see no hands up. Yes, you can go ahead, Grace. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to look at our last component for today, and that is the requisition. I know we had some hints about this on what should be done, what is required, but this stores requisition is looking at the inventory requisitions for now, where you either requested for a procurement for certain items, and you now need to have them, they need to be issued to you, but now you need to raise a stores requisition. Requisition here just allows you to capture which items you want to pick from stores, and before these are issued out, stores personnel are in position to make the respective changes that they need to do. And like we had mentioned, we can discuss on fields will be editable at stores level, and then they can proceed and post and do the required adjustment on the system. So for the stores requisition, we have the defaults that come. We have the number, the request number, name, and document date. So here we have the expected receipt date. It defaults to today's date. However, you have a capability of changing this. If you expect to have these items, say by 9th, you can change that. And then the description, similar to what you had as purpose, this is just a summary of the items that you want. And this received by right now may not be applicable to you. And then we can have the the project code and the from location. The from location is ideally where are these items coming from? Which store are you requesting these items from? So I will just fill in this for us to proceed and have a look at it. Okay, I will use the most basic item that I've been interacting with. And then the project code, I will select this. Then we have the requisition type. This will leave it to issue. And then in here, I'll come and add my inventory lines. So this, I'll select an item, and on the account here, this is where I put which item that I'm requesting for. So as you can see, I'm able to type and it will narrow down for me what item that I'm looking out for. So this second description is just additional information, which could be similar to what you had already captured. But just in case, to reduce the information that you capture, we can have that removed. Then we put the quantity of quantity that you want. Then I'll click insert. Sorry, I'd forgotten to update this. Okay, then go ahead and capture the line again. So for this, okay, I have looked at. So for this, we do not need to capture the unit of measure because the unit of measure is already tied to the item. Here, what we are just capturing is the item that we need. Let me use already one that I have existing. So all I need to do right now is capture the items that I need from stores, inventory, put the quantity, and then the system calculates for us the available quantity. So I can make changes as long as this request is still open, and then go ahead and send for approval. So now when we send this for approval, it goes to the respective approvers, and the final person will be handling the information on the Business Central side. So the stores requisition here, this, as I had mentioned, is just for inventory purposes when you're requesting for items that need to be issued to you. Yeah, that is pretty much what we had for today about the purchase, payment, travel, and stores. I will hand it over back to Alan. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Grace. Do we have any questions in regards to inventory, stores request for inventory?
Yeah, thank you, Alan. This is Tim from Kalongo, where Yoweri is. I'm Daniel. Are you?
Yes, Daniel.
Yeah, my question is, if I request for an equipment from the store, let's say a freezer that will again go back to the store, is there a system to track that it has been sent back to the store? Because I will just use it for 2 days to transport samples and then return back to the store.
Which store, in Kalongo or in Kampala?
Yeah, for I mean from Kampala. Yeah.
I think you still have to request. You've actually gone ahead of me, but I was going to make an addition. So the request you're mentioning is request for assets, and we are going to have a different request for assets, not inventory, in the system, and we'll get another session where the stores team will take us through. I think stores admin team will take us through asset management at IDRC. So yes, you will have to request. And when that time comes, the responsible departments will take us through how we'll handle that in the system. Oh, okay. And then maybe an addition. This is work in progress. We hope to add more information in the system. Each person, like we said, once you log in with your email, you'll be able to see the assets that are tagged to your name in the system. So all that information will be populated on this page. And when you request and which assets and are in your custody, to mention but a few. This is our first session, again, like I said, and as time goes on, we'll have multiple sessions about the same. I know not many people have been able to attend. We'll share the recording, but I encourage everyone to attend these sessions because we'll be using this system moving forward. I see some information in the chat. Medad says, thanks, Alan and Grace, for the presentation. Do I think that feeding of timesheets with business self-service portal will be the next session next time? Yes, we are going to add filling timesheets to this as well. The beauty is timesheets is straightforward as well, but you're going to have a provision for timesheets. Then Rachel says, Grace mentioned that the quantities are captured automatically. Isn't there a way for an individual to input the quantity themselves? Grace, do you want to respond to that?
The quantity is actually captured by the individual. Maybe just on the stores, the quantity that is automatically computed is what is available in that store, not the quantity that you're requesting for.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Paddy saying, when is the system starting to work? The system has actually started working today, but that is Business Central. In the next couple of days, we'll have multiple of these sessions. And then this is more or less the same that you've been, paperwork. So it's very easy. As you can see, the interface is very simple. The details are easy to capture. And then we'll share details with you in the next couple of days before the week ends, hopefully. But the back end of Business Central, that is the core teams, they already have access to the system. They'll be able to support you once your requests come in. Thank you. Any other? Yes, Maurice, I see your hand. Your hand is up, Maurice. Maurice Oneka, please go ahead.
Yes, good morning, Alan.
Good morning.
My question is that there are some requests that they have already sent to stores, like by yesterday and today, and towards the end of December, and they were using the old forms. So I don't know whether we shall, since the Navision is now closed, we shall have provision of going to this system and put those requests afresh, because I have the paperwork with me, but the Navision is already closed. Thank you.
Thanks, Maurice. I think you missed my earlier communication. However, you'll capture that information retrospectively. If you log into your interface, your usual stores interface, you should be able to dispatch and give the the staff members their items. We'll capture the details with you. We'll engage you retrospectively to have that captured. I guess I hope that answers you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. And then Mochu says, the timesheet service is unavailable. Where here on the portal or the old one? I don't know if you're able to unmute, but my earlier communication, we are no longer using Navision. Navision ended in 2023. We'll now be using Business Central. And we have started these sessions so that we can take you through how you'll be using the self-service portal Business Central moving forward. So the old link will not work. We'll share with you the new link for the self-service portal that will include timesheets and all these other details that have been presented to you. We'll still engage you in multiple sessions, 1 hour short sessions to take you through. We'll have these videos uploaded to our YouTube channel that you'll visit, and you'll be able to look through if you want to remind yourself, how do I do a payment request, travel request, stores request, purchase request, and we'll share manuals. We thought videos are quicker as opposed to using manuals, but we actually have actual manuals. It's unlikely people take time to read those. I think it's faster for people to watch a video and get get the information they want. So we wanted to take that approach as well. Okay, thank you. Any other question from the team?
Aaron,
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Just to also shed some light about the store's request from the end users. I just want to bring it to their attention that these requests will be, they will be basing on the supplies reports that we share with them on a daily. For them, that's what they base on to make those requests. We've had repeated incidents where someone puts in a request in procurement for supplies to be purchased. And then when a few of those come in and you communicate with them, at the time to make requests from stores, they just literally put everything that they had put on the LPO. So they have to constantly check what is available on the supplies request, and that's what they would just want to be make these store request forms. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Joshua. Like I said, we are going to have multiple sessions on asset management in relation to stores, overall in IDRC. And thank you for throwing more light. The stores team really has trouble when people request for things that they did not request for. So thank you for your submission. Yes, Harriet. Harriet and Drama, please go ahead. I see your hand is up. Harriet and Drama. Okay. Any other question? Okay, I see no question. All right, it's 56. Yeah, we have 4 minutes to the top of the hour. We've used an hour. Thank you all for sparing time to join this session. We'll communicate our next session for the items that we've not covered, but this is a good start, knowing that people have requests, payments and travel. We thought we'd start with this while we continue working on the system. I want to wish you a fruitful 2024. Have a great day. Bye.